ground shake.
Welcome back, guys. In this video I'm going to be doing my overall review for Call of Duty World War II. Now, I know it's been a couple weeks since I've uploaded, and I don't want to make excuses, but the reasons were my birthday was on November 21st, and then there was Thanksgiving, and I was very busy, and then I got sick. I don't know, I've been sick for about a week and a half, so I've just been trying to get better, and you can maybe hear it in my voice still. I still have a lot of congestion and stuff, but yeah, I'm going to be doing my review for Call of Duty as a whole. I'm going to be talking about what I thought about the game. I'm going to be talking about certain characters and what I thought about them and how their performance was played out. And then I'd love if you guys would comment and tell me what you thought of the game. And make sure you hit that like button, and if you're new here, subscribe. So let's do this. So overall, the game, this is for the campaign solely. Like, this is just the campaign. This isn't for multiplayer or zombies. I'm going to do separate reviews for those. For the campaign overall, it exceeded my expectations. I figured that it was going to be, because they've already done World War II before. And once you do something, it's hard to top it. So I felt like this game done very well. The graphics were amazing. The story was very good. There was a lot of twists and surprises. I really didn't expect the twist with Paul at the end of the game, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and just start talking about some of the characters. So the first character is going to be Daniels, of course, the character that you play. I'm very glad that they made a strong character with a very strong moral compass, that didn't do things sporadically. He thought and planned things out. He made smart decisions throughout the game. He tried to help everyone as much as he could. He didn't ever leave a man behind. He didn't ever just look out for himself. He looked out for others, and that's good traits to have to be a leader. And he was pretty much a leader to the rest of the guys like Stiles Alo and Zussman and all them, because with Turner and Pearson, it was a lot harder because they were always bickering and fighting, and then when it came down to time to fight, they didn't know what to do, and Daniels had to step up most of the time. But yeah, I think Daniels is probably one of my favorite Call of Duty characters that they've made. I'm glad they didn't kill him off, spoiler, because in most Call of Duty games, recently at least, they will just kill off the characters at the end of the game. They'll kill them all off. And I don't understand that, because if you leave them alive, that leaves you opportunities in the future to make more games with these characters. They could make a Vietnam War game, and he could be in that. It could happen. So, and you could follow him with a completely new group, with a completely new set of characters, but we still have Daniels, the same man that we know from this game. So moving on to the next character, we're going to be talking about Zussman. So Zussman is Daniels' best friend, pretty much. He looked out for the rest of the group. He was a lot like Daniels. He was a little bit more arrogant, and he didn't think things through very clearly. Sometimes he just kind of acted on action, which isn't bad, but when you're out there and you're fighting and stuff, I'm pretty sure you need to be a clear head and not just rush into things. The whole thing with him getting captured at the end and going to the concentration camp, I thought that was brilliant how they did that, especially since of his ethnicity and his religious beliefs. It really captured how they would just take them there, and then at the end when you find him and just saw how much he had changed in such a short amount of time, just showed that side of the story with the concentration camps and the Jewish people. and how horrible it was. So yeah, I really liked Zussman. Um, I kind of wish we would have seen like an like a 3 months past or something at the end of the game and saw him and Daniels meeting up in Texas, and I think he was from Chicago. I think it was Chicago. So, but other than that, yeah, I really like Zussman. He was a pretty good character, and it'd be exciting to see like a game with him and Daniels in it again, which I highly doubt they'll be able to do because I mean the circumstances are very like small that they would meet up in another war game. So to move on to the next character, we're going to go to Turner. A lot of people look over Turner because, of course, spoiler, he died about halfway through the game, I guess, or about a fourth way through the game. But Turner was pretty much the leader of the group, and then it was like he was the good guy and Pearson was the bad guy. Well, the game was making Pearson look like the bad guy, which I really, really, really love because this is the first well, not the first time, but like if you remember back in like Modern Warfare 2, oh, what was his name? The captain dude. Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyways, but Pearson was being made out to be the bad guy of the game, which was like the bad guy is like in your squad, like he's on your side, but he's also like the bad guy. But back to Turner, so it was really sad when Turner died, but you could kind of see it coming because like Pearson messed up and pretty much got him killed because he went ahead and attacked, and like it just got really messy really quick. So it ended up getting Turner killed, and I'm sure he felt that. And like even when Daniels went to take Turner's pistol, Pearson was just like drunk and he didn't want anything to do with Daniels, and then he made him his second and told him, you have to follow my orders or else. So Turner was a very good character. I'm glad they put a character like him in the game, which was like the good guy, because it was very much like yin and yang and like black and white, like he's the bad guy and he's the good guy. And then they killed the so-called good guy and replaced him with Daniels, yourself, the main character. Alright, moving on to the next character, we're going to be talking about Pearson, of course. Pearson is just one of those characters that you kind of love to hate. Like he's good at what he does, but he's bad at how he does it. He's good at giving orders and like progressing and moving all them forward. I mean, he got them to the end of the game. Like only person he lost was Turner. He even helped Daniels at the end of the game find Zussman, but that was after Daniels came back. And like the whole situation where you're chasing after Zussman and trying to save him, and Pearson comes up at the end when you're like bleeding out on the ground, and he threatens to kill you. Like he plain out threatens to kill you because you didn't obey an order. Now, in the Army, you can't just kill your members of your squad just because they don't obey you. You have to report them to court-martial, and they'll deal with it that way. But he literally said, I'll just go ahead and put you down so it won't be a burden on the rest of us. Luckily, Alo and Stiles came up, and like he didn't do it. But I really do like Pearson's character because it's like he's a bad guy on the good side. So it was very interesting, and I'm glad they put him in there. And at the end, him and Daniels were kind of like cool, and Daniels even asked him, "Are you going home?" And he said, "I am home." So he loves what he does, which is like being in the Army. So I'm glad they didn't kill him. I'm glad they didn't like make Daniels have to kill him. I'm glad they didn't take it to a darker path. At the end, Daniels went back and pretty much taught some sense into him. I mean, Pearson even punched Daniels in the face, and then Daniels dodged that punch and he hit the pole or whatever. So you just kind of have to, with people like that, you just kind of have to do the best you can at trying to show them the good in the bad situations. So the next ones I'm going to be talking about is Stiles and Alo. They really didn't have that much character development throughout the game. They were just there to be in the squad and help push the others forward. We really didn't learn much about either one of them, except at the beginning with the intro. Neither one of them died. Alo was from Brooklyn, I think, and Stiles, I'm not exactly sure if they ever said where he was from. But they both survived and they were able to go home at the end of the game. So I'm glad that that happened. So the next characters we're going to be talking about is Rousseau and Crowley, the French resistance people. Now, I think it may be my favorite mission within the game is when you play as Rousseau and you're infiltrating the Nazi command center type thing in France. And that mission was very fun because you got to see what was behind closed doors. You were being a spy, which I really liked. You had to remember your name and your past and stuff. Like when you read the little card at the beginning of the mission, and then you go in and you have to remember where you're from and who's your commander and why you're there and whatnot. So I really did like Rousseau's character. Crowley was just kind of there with her. He really didn't do too much. But yeah, they were really good rounded out characters, and I'm glad that they included those two in the game as well. Number 8, I'm going to be talking about Howard. Howard came in a little later in the game during the snow mission. It was in some forest. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, he came in toward the end of the game. He really didn't have much to do or just say really. I mean, we saw him that one time in the tent, and then he was just kind of around during the battles. I think he was he did fix that phone thing in that shed and helped us do that. So he was kind of like the, what do you call him? I don't know, communications person. That's what he was. So yeah, he really didn't have too much to do, but I'm glad they included him, of course, because of history and how it went during that time. So next thing we'll be talking about is the ending with the twist with Paul. So throughout the entire game, we are to believe that Daniel's older brother, Paul, is alive at home in Texas. And it showed a flashback of when Daniels was a young boy and Paul was a younger man, and a wolf was biting Paul, and Daniels could not kill the wolf, and Paul ended up having to kill it himself. And it showed them walking back toward, I guess, their house or their farm at the beginning of the game. But then at the end, when Daniels was chasing after the Nazis and when they were taking Zussman away from the concentration camp and executing people in the woods, he had a flashback to that scene again, and we saw that Paul actually died. Even at the beginning of the game, when Daniels was in the boat fixing to land on Normandy Beach, he was writing to Paul, but it was in the sense of a journal and between him and Paul, just to give himself motivation, I guess. So I thought that was a very wise choice on Sledgehammer's executives to actually do that, to actually put that twist in there that he was actually dead the entire time, but we were led to believe that he was alive. So the next thing I want to talk about is locations. So we were pretty much confined to a small area in Europe. We were in France, we were in Germany, and then and then I think even Poland. So they really didn't expand much. We didn't see anything in Russia. We didn't see anything in Northern Africa. We didn't see anything in Japan. We didn't see Pearl Harbor. We didn't see Great Britain. We didn't see anything like that, which it disappointed me a little bit because I feel like they could have done it a broader range. I understand that the focus was on Daniel's. It was Daniel's story, and he was in this place. It wouldn't have made sense if they were getting on planes, jumping from place to place, unless you had multiple characters in multiple locations. But for DLCs, I think it would be very, very smart for them to do DLCs where they add on to the campaign a completely new story. It doesn't even have to be like 13 parts like the main campaign was. It could be like, or 11 parts. It could just be like 4 or 5. Have like 4 parts in Russia, and you're like within the Russian army. 4 parts in like Hawaii during Pearl Harbor. 4 parts in Northern Africa, and then maybe like 4 parts in Great Britain or somewhere like that, and that would make a completely new campaign with 4 new characters, and we would get to see what was going on in other parts of the world during World War II, because it didn't just solely take place where we were in the game. It was large scale. It was huge. There was so many people died. I think it was it 250 million people or 25 million people? I think it was 25. No, it was a lot. It might have been 25 million people total died in World War II. No, it had to be more than that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know exactly the number, but it was a lot of people. Like, it was a lot of people died in World War II, and we just saw a small portion of that. We saw maybe 1/10 of the entire story of World War II, and it really surprised me. But I also enjoyed just like how real it was, because Daniel's story showed like the common man that went overseas, and they went from point to point and just had to fight and push back and push back and push back. It wasn't just like quick. It took time. It took months. It took months and months just to like get 100 miles. Like, it took so long, but I really enjoyed that. So my final thoughts for the entire game. It's probably my favorite Call of Duty game since Call of Duty Ghosts. And I know a lot of people didn't like Ghosts, but for some reason that game really like connected with me. Like, I really connected with it, and I enjoyed it a lot. So with this game, it's probably my favorite since then. All of the Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare and all this lately has just been too literally out of this world, and like space and all that. It's just not what Call of Duty is. Call of Duty is boots on the ground, fighting, like story, making you care, making you not want the characters to die. Like, at the end of Infinite Warfare, when they killed the entire group, pretty much, except the girl, I can't remember her name exactly. It goes to show that they don't really care. Like, they don't care about the characters. You can't make people care about the characters in one game. You need to have like a trilogy where you start with this group of characters and you follow them through multiple games, and then at the end of the 3rd game you can kill a bunch of them. That's why people love Modern Warfare so much. We're introduced to these 2 characters in Modern Warfare 1, Captain Price and Soap, and we follow them until the 3rd game. And we lose a lot of people along the way, and it actually makes you like feel things for the characters. Like, when Turner died in this game, I didn't feel like very sad, but yeah, I did feel sad that he died, but it wasn't like I was, you understand what I'm talking about. Like, it didn't affect me or anything. So yeah, for a rating from 1 to 10, I'll give this game a 8, because I really wish they would have. The only reason I'm not giving them like a 9 or a 10 is because I wish they would have made the game bigger. I wish you would have went more places. I wish you would have seen more people. It wasn't solely, World War II wasn't just about us, the Americans, or just the French, because we even saw the French. And it wasn't just about us. There was a lot of different sides to the war. And so But yeah, for my final thoughts, I'm going to be giving this an 8 out of 10, and I really enjoyed the game overall. And I just want to thank all of you guys that have been supporting me and watching these videos and liking them and commenting. It means a lot to me, and it keeps me going. I really, really, really want to do this as like a job, but I know that that sounds crazy right now, being that I only have like 100 subs or however many. So, but thank you guys so much. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, you comment, and if you're new here, subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! Make the ground shake.